Okay, we need to get this workshop going.
Yes, where is everybody?
Let's get everybody in.
Yeah,
For a definition. So,
Don't worry about it, I only have 5 slides.
no, I'm fine. Anything you have is.
so agenda is usually Klaus does the past and present of CBS. You do past and present of MC. Yes. I do the, what are we actually doing here?
Yes.
What is this for?
Yes.
And then we go into the whole brainstorming for what do we actually want to do in detail.
And who's keeping notes on the brainstorm?
Everybody, because that's.
Alright, let's get people in. Coffee is on.
Perfect.
Okay, we're here, we're good. Let's go. Let's go.
Mostly.
Let's go. Let's go. What's up?
Out for a breath of fresh air.
You spend more time preparing the presentation than I spend.
But it's fine.
It should be on, right? No, it's off. Yes, it's off.
It's on now, right?
No, hang on, wait.
What does it say?
It's off.
It says dashboard.
Casa, what does it say?
Dashboard.
Yes, maybe I
That's probably not great.
It has people wearing cameras. No.
That's also not.
Okay.
Okay, so.
It is generated. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's wait a second.
camera is not working.
Your time and date is also completely messed up.
Oh, my time and date's messed up anyway, so.
Yeah.
Oh, we were supposed to fix that.
It didn't give me an option.
Yeah, well, this is why we have the other
Yeah.
lock. And also, now it's locked. Why is it locked?
Yeah,
No, they did not read the option either, so we've been post-processing that.
This is very interesting. Now it just doesn't.
I looked at the clock, so.
Where did you do it?
I did not do this.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Yeah.
I did not do this. Klaus, stop behaving like a user.
Yeah. No, but seriously, now it just doesn't. It's completely stopped responding to anything.
Maybe we should pull out.
Yes, but then I'm afraid that it says, oh, I'm not enough power, and then.
You had a couple.
Okay. Now it's off. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I wanted to not happen. Okay.
If you know exactly what happens, you have to prepare for this, right?
I cannot possibly prepare for people not following instructions in very interesting ways. Yeah.
You know how they say software engineering? If something doesn't work, that's the fault of an engineer, you know?
Yeah.
And whenever you design a system, you know how it teaches you through code. You should make it idiot-proof.
Well, I will happily forward your comments to GoPro Inc.
Why do you think they asked us to test it?
If anything can go wrong, it will.
Okay, but now it's recording again. So now we just need to have a look at the clock.
Right. Just synchronizing?
Yes, this is good. Now we also need to synchronize Klaus.
Yes.
Klaus, you look beautiful. Stop looking in the mirror.
Thank you.
We all look like psychopaths from some cyberpunk movie.
Well, while we're here, everybody can have a good. Look at the clock. So we actually know what time it is. It is QR time.
Apparently.
Well, it's yes.
Who is missing from the workshop?
Well, everybody counts.
Cameras. Tell camera, sorry.
Lauren is there.
I didn't see you.
Yes. Can moving 5.
Okay? Let's go. 1 hour and 5 minutes late.
That's a success, man.
Castle. Look at this need. I wanted to book a castle, I couldn't afford it. I planned to book a castle, but they became too expensive, so next year if we get a bigger grant, we can go to a castle.
Hey.
Castle proper.
We
Okay.
can have a brainstorming dissection.
There is or at least there was an acronym at some point.
Oh, we can
I
do
don't
it
think
again.
anyone wrote it down.
But we're in a conference called Castle, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Experiment. Castle experiment.
We talk about life castle. Yeah, life.
It's well, yeah.
Life-looking experiment.
There has to be, will be at some point an acronym for
Conference?
this.
No, conference. Conference. People will
Of academic scientists
Yeah.
who think lifeline.
Little
Experiment.
something.
Oh,
Oh no.
Oh no, hang on, it's all gone, it's all gone. Apparently, the HDMI cable connection isn't great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you need a clicker? I think I make
No,
a
I need a table. Okay,
No,
let's just keep
but
going.
we can have
Let's
a
work,
table.
you don't need this for very long.
Is Castle actually registered with the trademark office?
No, it's not.
Back up.
This is
Remove
what
the
you,
mirror.
this is what you get if you use gender.
Remove the mirror.
Thank you.
There's a mirror. No, remove the mirror from
No,
the
this is
Jesus, just
you
one.
actually get a lectern. So professional.
Yes, we are professional. Okay, look, let's keep going. Welcome to Castle. Live Castle. Why are we here? Leading researchers. That's you. To define the challenge, the next great challenge for working with life on video. The background is there was a call from SIGMM for expressions of interest for some multimedia related activities for the community. Right? And Klaus decided to put in a bid and I worked with him on it. And that bid was successful. It led to this. I think there were 4 or 5 bids that were successful. We saw Validates and Multimedia last year, or this year, a few months ago. And the bid was successful on the basis that we host a workshop to define a challenge for ACM Multimedia Conference in Dublin in 2025. That is something to do with lifelines and video. That's a challenge. That's why we're here. We then decided, wouldn't it be great, rather than just have a workshop, to have a workshop and data gathering experiment at the same time. Hence, we end up in the end of the world, the west of Ireland, where nobody else exists, and that's why we're here. Okay, that's why you're all wearing cameras. Not maybe cameras straight, but let's just go with that. Arising from Castle 24, i.e. this week, we'll run a new challenge at ACM Multimedia in Dublin. Yay! We will release an epic new data set for the community to use. And we will hopefully, in the course of the 1 hour or 1 hour and a half every day this week, we actually spend 4 hours workshop setting to find the next steps in video lifelong use. Okay? And then if I help us support the community to grow and be more impactful. That's what we're doing. So there's a work element, there's a data gathering element, and there should be a fun element. Make sense?
Yes.
Yay! Woo! Woo! The plan for Castle 24 today, 3rd of December. Is it 3rd of December?
Yes.
I'm unnamed here. We will begin workshop and data set gathering. I don't these slides last night, Luke. I'm very late.
Also, on the previous slide, he said, well, next year, in 2025.
This also Castle 24 now.
Okay, we now know. Okay, I'm changed now. Castle 24. It's the 24th edition of the Castle version. So we're going to gather a data set which every participant engaged in realistic and safe POV lifelong. Safe because we're not going out interacting. We're in a closed rules we have to follow, which Luke will run through with you. We do things like not wearing the cameras and Wednesday the 4th, Thursday the 5th of December, we continue doing what we're doing now. We'll have a large breakfast, we'll continue to gather the data set, and continue to have our workshops. On Friday the 5th of December, we intend to finalise the plans for a grand challenge, chart the way forward for the research community, and find the next steps for this group, what comes out of this, and then finalise the data gathering, which will happen over the coming week or two, because it's quite a lot of data, quite a lot of work to go on that. And then it's after we go back home. So that's basically it. We have a social activity or two. We're going to the smoked salmon factory. It is the only activity in this area, so enjoy that.
It's the best activity that, it's like
It is
the
the-
highlight of the area.
Yeah, it's 5 kilometres away, so it's not that far. And that I believe is at 3:30 on Friday. And Friday night we have a banquet of sorts in Kills. Okay, you want to talk now? Of course.
Thank you. Alright. Yes, so hopefully the
Why are we wearing the same shirt, man? Then we become not only big, first the white is brand, then soon it becomes the same color again.
I brought my IC Marvel because it does more people. We get confused with camera. Okay, yeah, so actually we think that this data set might be usable for the LifeLog search engine, but also maybe for the video processor. That's why I'll give a very short introduction what it actually is. So what is it? It's a live evaluation platform for interactive video search, which really performs large-scale video content retrieval. And we have different types of queries. I'll give some examples. And we have a competitive setup because we have not only a large data set, but we have also a lot of participants. And yeah, it's going for several hours. It's also an entertaining event because it's connected to the welcome reception at the MMM conference every year. And so this is how it looked like. It started in 2012 in Klagenfurt, and then we went every year to different places at the MMM conference. And what you can see here on the right, this is the last iteration in 2024. And next year, we will continue this in January with 16 teams actually. And here we can also see that a lot of different teams from all around the world have participated in this competition. There are some very strong teams. One of them, of course, is from the University of Basel, one from Charles University in Prague, and another one from Pisa. Yeah, and a few more, of course. There are so many teams that I cannot mention them all. And the query types, we have non-item search, where you know what you are looking for visually, also textually, the second one. So that would be a visual example. And teams need to find this as fast as possible, and only see this small clip. And the textual one would be a description like, a girl and a man run up a small hill. There is a flagpole with a Canadian flag on top. There are white green benches, a lamp post, and stairs up the hill. The flagpole is on top of a stone structure with a cannon. It was a very challenging task actually. I could hardly imagine how it looked like. Yeah, and that would be the scene. Right. We were going to see a flagpole, Canadian flag. Right. Okay. Then we have visual question answering. Somehow I did not have enough time. But we have question answering like this. How many nights do we see passing in the video until this segment? I think this is very interesting because you also need the video playback functionality and quickly go over the video. And of course you need to understand that the darkness outside could be an indication of how many nights you see in the video. And we have
There's no way too much music.
Okay.
You can maybe mute it.
But if
Perfect.
the license of the data set is okay, then
Okay.
this should be
Yeah,
I think so,
Okay.
yes.
Well,
it should be,
From
yeah,
this
yeah,
should be.
yeah.
it should be. All of these videos are Creative Commons licensed,
Yeah.
but
We're relying on somebody else.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Some
that's okay.
some of these people who make these videos are not entirely versed in the intricacies of licensing, so there may be something.
lawyers?
They're
Luke has talked to lawyers too much.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, so this is from V3C, should be fine. And then we have ad hoc video search where we need to find as many as possible items for a specific topic. And I don't have any example for that, but Luca mentioned the data set. Here we can see the different data sets that were used over the years. We started with only 30 videos, 38 hours. We went on to 100 hours and then ended up last year with 2,300 hours from the V3C1 and V3C2 data set. Plus we had the Marina video kit. I'm not sure if somebody still knows how much hours are there. But I think tens.
yes. I think it was 14, 15
14,
first
yeah.
slides and again as much in the second slides that were
Is that 40? 14.
14.
Yeah, okay, so
we're,
you have
we're up to about 30-ish with the
current one.
with the addition that
Okay.
comes in this year.
Yeah, so this is the final one here in 2025. We will have the MDK2 with this amount, and then we have the full V3C collection with overall 3,801 hours.
Yes.
And we also have the medical data set, the laparoscopic hysterectomy with 100 hours. And yeah, this I think will be a great challenge in 1 month roughly.
So we may have in 2026 a lifelong challenge as part of this, right?
Right, exactly. So that would be another part for the VPS where we look into these features.
For 400 hours, 500, 600 hours.
Right?
There was.
That?
400 hours,
No,
right?
not quite as
Fixed
much.
cameras as well, right?
Yeah, sure, but it's only, we'll go into numbers.
Yeah.
So that would be a very nice challenge as well. And yeah, I think finally to conclude my part of the presentation, I think what we saw at the VPS is that currently all systems use state-of-the-art technologies like Flip and Blip and so on, but also there is some consistency within teams, that the same team with different users perform similarly, which is good, I think. And the user interface is very important. I think this is also a very unique aspect of the VPS. It's not only, let's say, the system behind, but a lot is by the user interface and how we provide interaction possibilities.
Actually, nice to have kept the video browser term.
Yes, exactly.
That's quite important.
Right, so that's it. So thank you very much.
May I just short advertisement break in this point?
Yes.
If you think VDS is a cool thing to do and you haven't volunteered any judges from your team for 25, then please let me know.
Liz going,
Yeah,
volunteer!
yeah, we'll be the
Well,
ones
you
here.
don't need to
And
be there,
come up with
judges can be remote as well, so, but if you're there.
That
you
makes
know,
Andy.
You're going to.
Yes.
We can do
Okay.
it remotely,
Yes.
but what's
Yeah. We'll probably.
It's actually quite convenient for European time because it's afternoon, so you get
Yeah,
a bit of
yeah.
morning
Not
and.
here.
Well,
we
Werner,
can do it remotely.
Andy.
Andy, I
You guys talk to Andy.
He
to
would
get
be a
what
good
it-
judge.
Yes, check with him and let me know.
Yes.
Hmm?
but
Okay, let's keep
you
going.
Remind me to remind Klaus to remind him.
I want to follow up with a short few slides about the LifeLock Search Challenge, motivated by Gordon Bell's work on MyLifeBits. So Gordon Bell built a lifetime store, and it was built inside the database. You could query it through a nice interface. We want to take this into the community as well. So over the past decade or so, we've run a number of different challenges at DCAR in Japan, Image Clay in Europe, and the one we want to talk about today is the LSC LifeLock Search Challenge. Kind of, well, really motivated by the video Browser Showdown challenge, which was so successful. Hence we're going to talk about that. In terms of growth, we started off with 6 teams in Yokohama in 2018, and most recently we had 21 participants in the most recent LifeLog Search Challenge, which took place just a couple of months ago in Phuket in Thailand. So, LifeLog
A
data set.
couple months ago, we're stretching into French territory, where you have the husband and the wife and the husband's mistress and everything.
It's a happy family.
Yeah, exactly. 5 months ago now.
The data set we have is not quite as large as the 3,801 hour BBS data set. It is an 18-month data set from one person, an anonymous person. It contains wearable camera data from fixed image sequence wearable cameras, concept detectors, stuff like that. It contains some real camera phone photographs as well, matched biometrics from monitors, heart rate sensors, etc. and watches. We did a bit of information access, but that's really problematic for privacy concerns. And then activity detection annotations as well. So those data sets become reasonably large. I think we ran to around about 1 million images, give or take, in these kind of data sets. I can't remember now, 780,000 or something.
Yeah.
We tend to look for images as answers, answers as answers to queries, and they're the typical units of retrieval. So it's quite challenging, especially because you have to do anonymization. And with video data that's openly available online, you download the videos. With LifeLog data, you have all kinds of challenges related to faces and content on screens and phone content as you're using your phone, because this inevitably gets captured. So you have to come up with a process where LifeLog reviews and cleans their data. They share it with our researchers in the university. The researcher then checks to make sure that things are okay, and we resize all content to make sure text isn't necessarily legible. We then anonymize anyway the screens and the faces, and then we review it again and release the data sets. It takes quite a long time to do that, but then we even with that have strict access controls. If you sign up to use a LifeLog data set, you sign up to rules that says we can ask you to delete any image and you must do it, or delete the whole data set. We haven't had to do that, but that's in there. Okay, so type of queries, just as VBS has spoken about, we have known item, ad hoc, and Q&A queries. Known item queries find a particular image of an event, right, or activity that meets the information need. I'll look at an example of that. This was an example from 2 years ago. There was a man in the front row with a yellow hat on. I was on a stage in a room with a lot of people watching. I was on some sort of panel writing notes. I remember the man had a blue sweater on also. It was in France at AC Multimedia 2018. Over the course of 3 minutes, you get more detail given to you.
19, please.
19.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. I can't read. But that's an example of the picture that we have here. Look, ad hoc queries. Find all the examples of something important. Like find all the times I was taking medication or vitamins at home. Imagine a scenario where a physician cares about this in an elderly person living alone. You want to quantify this kind of information. Or find examples when I was wearing my yellow Happy Bee t-shirt. And it's a very nice t-shirt. Finally, Q&A, most interestingly, this is what the real challenge is right now. Because we can kind of do finding content, meaning aggregation of finding content. Q&A, I visited a famous Korean temple with friends. Actually, some of them are here. A few years ago, what did I do immediately afterwards? We got a coffee, right? Tea. It was a tea shop. Oh, so you're anonymously in this data set.
Even green tea cheesecake.
Oh yeah, it had matcha cheesecake. I remember that. Actually, that is you.
It might even be
Different shirt, but it's you. Another example.
So much for anonymization, but okay, sure.
It's a blurred face. It's only recognizable to people who know him really well.
Also, is he wearing his name tag?
No, he's not.
No, not on this one.
No, that's actually the cake.
Because this is from Seoul.
Okay.
This is
By the shade, you can even guess who's the second of the investors.
Okay, so we were there. We were there. Okay.
I was there.
Next query. You were there too.
Yes.
There's at least 3 or 4 of us that were there. Okay, second one. Damn it, my car is a flat tire. What was the name of the car service repair company I used in the summer of 2019? I want to call them again to get my car fixed. This is a real kind of challenge, right? What was the name of the company we went to a number of years ago? And then even more complicated, the one that nobody got right last year. What airline did I fly most often with in 2019? Real complex aggregation queries. But that's what we're pushing for, that's what we're aiming for here. The issue with all of these data sets is that they're image sequence. 2 images a minute. I'm trying to push beyond that now. And then of course this led to what we think now is a standard LifeLog search engine, right? Which really focuses on visual embeddings, multimodal embeddings as a key access mechanism. Once again, intuitive interface is really important, just as Clive said for VBS, and a lot of the other stuff that goes inside of this. If you want to find out, there's lots more papers available at the LSE website, you can have a look at that certainly. And then I'll just say thank you, and let's kick off the workshop.
Thank you.
Let's go! And we're going to have Luca to tell us what we're doing and how we should do it properly,
Yes.
and all the
Okay.
mistakes we're making that we shouldn't do.
Okay, so I didn't have slides for this. This is more going to be a bit of a show and tell. So just to give you a bit of technical detail on how this all is actually working. I mean, you're already all wearing the cameras, but just so that you all are aware what we actually have. These are GoPro Hero 10s.
Yes.
They are equipped with a 256 gigabyte SD card, and they're set to record at Ultra HD 4K in 50 frames a second. Continuously. Gesundheit. This gives us about 8 or so hours, depending on what's actually going on, of recording capacity per camera per day. These recordings are not necessarily continuous. You can interrupt them at any time whenever you're doing something that you may not want to be on the record. You can interrupt this at any time. Again, important, just pause the recording, do not turn off the camera, because if you turn off the camera, it goes out of sync, and all the timing issues, and it might also then complain about starting up. It has some not enough power issues, because it's not actually powered from the internal battery, it's powered.
Just a hint also, do not touch the touch screen.
Yes,
So that
try
doesn't do it.
not to touch the touchscreen because it is very swipey, right? You might accidentally change the mode or something, so try to only use the top button. Also, it is blinking whenever it is recording, so I can now see, when I look at all of you, that all of your cameras are actually blinking, so all of you will be recording what I'm telling you. If you happen to see somebody walking around and their camera is not blinking, do let them know, because that might not be intentional.
Do you also have a feeling of this Strange Days cyberpunk movie? Do you remember that one, 20-some years ago?
I don't know, I didn't see it.
I did not see it either.
Nice call.
Okay.
It looks, we all look reasonable though, right?
Yeah.
Honestly,
I thought it would be weirder.
Could be worse. Right?
Could be worse.
Could be worse. So, in order to facilitate this long form recording, you are also all wearing pouches or other types of batteries. So this is a 20 amp hour battery. It has plenty of capacity to run this camera until the SD card is full. We will recharge these every night as well. So every night it is copied off. You get the fresh SD card in the fully charged battery bank in the morning. In addition to the cameras you're all wearing, there's some stationary cameras. There's one over there, there's one over there, and there's two more in this part of the house, and then one additional one in the other room. At least the four in here are set to record continuously for the entire day. So they should each record 12, 13 hours, depending on when exactly we stop for the day, to essentially anchor the activities of all the individual legs. What we will do afterwards is to ideally frame level align all of these videos, so they're perfectly synced in time, or at least as perfect as we can make them. We don't actually know the clock drift of these cameras, so we will have to see what level of precision is actually achievable with this. But this is going to be a post-processing problem.
Maybe a
And
good
then-
computer vision task actually for later.
Yeah, there's gonna be some interesting things. So there's gonna be some pre-processing that we're doing that we will have to do.
Even the near sea for this line of time, air of time, that task.
Time alignment task is interesting.
Yeah, but the time alignment will probably need to happen before we actually release this.
Yeah, it will, anyway.
There's a bunch of things that, so essentially a series of tasks, right?
Yes.
So we will generate the raw data with the sensors and with some more sensors that I'm going into in a minute. And then there's essentially multiple stages, right? There will be some processing on this that needs to happen before we release this, just in order to say, okay, this is the data set, this is all the data augmentation we already did, this is what you can work with. And then afterwards we have two parallel streams in activities that are already set up to happen next year. One being the challenge and the other being the hackathon. And we'll go into this in a bit. But especially also the hackathon will be able to do more data augmentation. So this is also something that we will have to think about, have to set up. We can even maybe do some prototyping throughout these days, just to see what are all the processes we're actually going to do with this. In order to aid with the time alignment, you have seen I went through with the notebook before. We have two clocks that are set up to be machine readable. So every time you start your recording, I would ask you to go and have a look at the clock, because that will help us figure out when exactly in time your recording was, because the wall clock time in these devices is not the greatest. It is not super precise. Even if you set it as precisely as you can, at least with the manual interface, it will be set to the minute. And with 50 frames a second, there's still a lot of frames that you might be out. Right? So the machine readable clock with the QR code updates roughly 5 times a second. So this gives us a much more precise window to actually align these things.
So ideally we should turn on the cameras in front of the clock.
You should probably turn on the camera in front of a mirror just to make sure that it's pointing roughly where you expect it to point. We have a bunch of mirrors around here. And then once you did that, go and visit the clock soonish, because then we can have an automated process that essentially always at the start the video starts to look for the clock and then computes back when the start frame of that recording actually happened in time relative to the clock.
And all the clocks in this house, the physical real clocks, all show different times.
Yeah, so don't.
Try to correct two of them, so there's two that
Yeah, so do not rely on any other clock. So the QR code clock is what we consider true.
winding up
This one is right exactly 2 times a day. There's some clocks in
This
here
one
that
is
are.
reasonable. You must have done
Yeah, I
that.
said that one.
Yeah.
There's some clocks in
And
here
one
that are
that
never right.
Yeah.
Yeah, time is difficult with this. Right. What this is also recording is audio. So everything that is said here, everything that anyone can hear will be in the recording.
And that
Which
means
also sets apart this data set from some of the others out there.
even if all the cameras are turned off, there's still fixed cameras in the rooms. Right? So pretty much anywhere you go to, with the exception of upstairs, we assume will have.
Well, actually, rooms also downstairs.
No, in your room there's a camera.
Yeah.
I knew
That's why the door was open.
He said it for the second time. I have to check it.
No, so essentially, right, there's the individual rooms, which are supposed to be camera-free zones. Everything else out here is essentially expected to be on
Yes.
camera at any point.
Everything you say.
In time, anything you say, anything you do within the public area is
So
on
basically,
camera.
the experiment is called how to get a soul fired from this.
That is entirely
very
up to
possible,
you.
So let's not try to.
Yeah, behaviors of. So these are the main sensors. We have some other things, right? So if all of you are wearing a Fitbit, this will record some very basic activity and biometric information that we will also endeavor to time align as much as we can. I'm not entirely sure what frequency and what precision we will be able to get out of these things ultimately, but this is certainly some post-processing that we'll be doing. On top of that, there will be some streaming data, so we have some other photographic cameras that we can take some pictures with, and some other sensors just to record some bits and pieces that can be used as augmentation. And then of course all the things that we will be able to extract from this data, and especially from the aggregate across different views. But when you're looking at me, but I'm looking at you, this gives me ways to infer things about you that you would not be possible to infer from your stream alone, right? These sort of things.
I have one question. So what is the charging of the
They should last for the whole week.
The idea would be that these do not need to be charged throughout the week. They should last. If you notice it going low, please contact any of our helpers, and then we can have them charged. These things, so the battery packs need to be charged every night. The other things should be good to go. Ideally, we tested this, it worked in the test, but then again, we will see how it actually behaves in this setting, and we might need to adjust as we go. Okay. The whole point of this is, again, as we've already briefly mentioned, to, at least initially, use this for two upcoming activities, both of them associated with ASICM Multimedia 2025, happening next fall. One of them being a more classical thing as a grand challenge, and the other thing is a more interactive, more experimental thing, and we want to have a hackathon where people interact with it. So the grand challenge has more of a data analytics flavor to it, as in we will give people the data set as is, or as we will be able to prepare it in time.
Probably February or March.
Ideally, sometime within the first quarter of 2025.
Tell us what preparing means, because you said that substantial annotation is going to happen.
Yes. So this is some of the details are also to be discussed here. What is happening, or what definitely will need to happen, is the precise time alignment of all the streams. They will be encoded in a common structure, in a common format. So you will probably have videos that are all structured in a way that, for example, all the individual video chunks are exactly 1 hour long. They always start on the hour. In case there's no recording, there's some insert that says this was camera number 5, this was the time, but there's no video data available for that segment, something like this. And they're all time aligned, so you have camera 1, hour 1, day 1, and so on and so forth, just in a collection of video files. The exact format to be determined, but something like this. So all of them are aligned. Then we're going to have to do some data augmentation, things that we already know that we would want anyway. So essentially run this through a state-of-the-art auto transcription system, and then afterwards have people look at the transcript and fix some things that the system might have gotten wrong, just to have a ground truth that is of reasonably high quality, especially since this might also be slightly multilingual. I mean, we will have the workshop activities in English, but we have people from all over. Some of them speak different languages, So we might even have some conversations in different languages in the data set, which is also interesting for the wolf. Just to make sure that all this annotation stuff is proper. What these things are also recording are streams of metadata. So these cameras have a 6 degrees of freedom IMU. So they will record at about 200 hertz, which direction down is, how these things would accelerate all the time, what direction it was looking in. It has a magnetometer, it has GPS. So whenever it takes some measurements, it knows where it was in space. So this can also be used to reconstruct some trajectories or to do some other interesting things. We will try to preserve this data as much as possible throughout all the processing steps, which is going to be a bit tedious, but we will figure out how to do this properly. And probably also export it in some slightly more readable format, because the one GoPro uses is a bit of a pain. It is quite efficient in encoding, but not the most user-friendly thing in the world. So we might just dump this into something that is more easy to read and make this more accessible to people. Specifically because we will have some time-aligned streams from these things as well. So we might as well have some other format to just put all of these channels in. Right, so this is, and anything else we can come up with.
What are these recording?
They are recording your heart rate, they are recording your blood oxygenation, I think.
Some basic activities.
And they're recording some step county things at the very least.
It's like a digital data set.
I'm not
I don't think it's doing speed properly.
sure if they do temperature. I'm not there.
Yeah.
Well, they record a bunch of things. It's not yet entirely clear what we can actually get out of these, in what format, but at least heart rate and some activity streams and possibly blood oxygenation over time should be possible. Again, they are very coarse, right? This is also something that we might want to think about for any future activities. This is a latter activity in the workshop.
It may be possible. Be careful what you do and what you say. Right? That's that. It may be possible for us to take something out, but let's say we have to take out what happened right now because Colin said something crazy to get the software out. We'd have to take the data out of all cameras at that point in time. So it's a big deal. So we try to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah. In that sense, also. You may want to leave your smartphones in your rooms, because if you happen to get an email that has sensitive information in the subject line, and you look at your phone and there's stuff that is, this cannot be released because it might violate the privacy of some external people, that would then need to be taken away. So this is definitely
and there are 4K cameras all around you. They're quite detailed in what they
yeah. So assume any text you're looking at can be read. Yeah. So any text that you realize cannot be shared with the outside world, we need to make a note of this, and this is part of the processing that we will need to do before this goes out. That we need to cut this up.
And you don't want to go back yourself and think, oh, didn't I say something on the first morning, and then try to find it. We try to avoid this as much as possible. It's a lot more work to take something out than not put it in this case.
In short, university became boring. It stimulates boring behavior.
We just have to be super careful because what happens when a data set is released is that it just goes out there, right? It exists forever.
It used to sound like American Nightmare, you know, like now we're living in American Nightmare.
No, I mean, the whole point of this is to actually release the data with as few access restrictions as we can make it, to make it as useful as possible to as many people as possible. So ideally, we would want to publicly release this thing under a Creative Commons, ideally CC BY license, and then just say, look, here's the thing, have at it, right? Yeah. And then people can use it for whatever.
Unless Google wants it, they have to pay.
Sponsor upcoming activities.
We'll,
Restrict for young people.
we'll see about the exact details of the release of this thing. Right? So, okay, but this is the plan, right? There's some things that we will do to it before we release it, and then there are some things that we will facilitate for other people to do to it, and to ideally also augment it for future usage after its release. That's part of the hackathon. The other thing is part of the challenge, where we give them the dataset in whatever form it will be, and we give them a bunch of tasks that we know how to evaluate the correctness of. It's probably going to involve some sort of retrieval queries, similar to what we've seen with VBS and LC, something like that, but not in an interactive fashion, as these grand challenges are. You get the task, you work on the task, you submit the results, we will evaluate the results, and we tell you how well we did. So it will certainly involve something along these lines. It might also involve some more complex analysis tasks that are a longer form aggregation across this sort of stuff.
How many cups of coffee were drunk?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, right? That kind of way of thinking.
Yeah. And then we will just need to figure out how exactly we want to phrase this, how we could possibly evaluate this, and under what procedures we expect this to happen. The interesting part is that the whole process will be somewhat self-documenting, because the whole process of setting up this challenge and defining the precise task of the challenge will be part of the data set that will be used for the challenge. Right? So people can get all the documentation they could possibly need, because they can just watch us coming up with the details.
So basically, you just give a data set and say the challenge is in the data set.
Yes.
Essentially, yes.
You'll find the queries in the data set.
Yes, essentially, yes. Right. Find the time we came up with this particular query.
So you just find the query in the data set and then solve the query.
List all the queries.
Yes.
Find all the queries. Right. This is hard mode. You're not
I
going.
think this is really amazing also for this, I would say, it's not new. We've always wanted to go fully, I would say, unsupervised with everything. Any solution can only get it there. But we have so much data now and even overlapping streams. I
Yes.
think this is going to be super kind of interesting for self-supervised folks.
Yes, and I mean this is only the first step, right? Because this is all off-the-shelf hardware. So what is also an intent of this workshop here is to think beyond what we're currently able to do.
What's the next workshop?
And see if we had infinite budget and infinite time, what would we want to do? And then essentially boil this down to, given that we are presumably not going to have infinite budget and infinite time, what will we be actually able to do if we plan for doing this again in a year or in 2 years?
So I think maybe even more ambitious goal would be in order, because you remember the first session at AC Multimedia, they were talking about future and about multimedia agents and so on. I think maybe we have to even think, hey, not in terms of how do we want, actually that's what they would like us to think about. How would we like the entire field to start, at least in regard to one of these lines.
That's what the hackathon conversation at AC Multimedia was about. It was that particular
Yes.
information workshop where the hackathon came out of.
Yeah.
That was all about the future challenges of the community.
Not only this workshop, but kind of in general. What
Yes,
do we want?
yes, exactly. But all of this hinges on actually having concrete material to work with, and this is going to be one set of data, right? And this has properties that will be unique among the available data sets, because this is not going to be the first POV activity data set. There are a handful of these, and they have been studied quite a bit. But all of these have the limitation that they're either longer form activities in a very confined environment, or that they're very diverse activities in diverse environments that are completely disjointed. So you just have a few recordings of a few minutes, some person doing something, and then this is gone, and you never know what happened before or what happened after. Usually, this is also happening in public, therefore it's heavily anonymized. You're never having people.
That was move.
Look, it's taking longer.
I think we need to get coffee soon.
We need to get coffee. Let's keep
There's
going.
gonna be coffee. We will hopefully not run out of coffee. But then again, we might also be able to do things like when did I have coffee? Predict this solely based on my heart rate, right? Things like that.
It's going to be epic.
Long
There's
ago.
things we can do.
Yeah. Right. So again, the thing is, this will have overlap with the types of data that exist. So we will also be able to take inspirations on the kind of tasks that people have been doing with other types of data that has the overlapping aspects. But this is going to have aspects that do not exist because we have many people in the same environment interacting with each other and with the environment. And we have the first person view of all of these people. So this is something that is unique, that is not currently possible to do with any of these data sets that exist. So this will allow us to do new things. And the whole point of this, and also of day one today, is to start a discussion on what all these things that we could leverage this for might be. So ideally, and what the agenda says, that we essentially threw out of the window because we started an hour late, is to today start this brainstorming, this ideation process jointly. And then when people want to discuss this throughout the day, please do. And we will have another round tomorrow morning where we essentially gather the various things people came up with and then go on from there. And we have some more discussion points on hackathon things.
The plan is about 90 minutes every morning of a workshop that should lead to a proposal for a grand challenge in asynchronous media and a proposal for a hackathon of asynchronous media. And the idea of what would happen for Castleton.
Listen, when you say hackathon based on multimedia, we don't normally have hackathons. You have different formats.
No,
Exactly. This is new. This is new.
Came out of the ACM Next Steps multimedia workshop that we had.
Hackathon, would people start working on it before? Because some grand challenges have that form.
This is independent.
But
This
social
is
media-
two independent activities. So the format of the Grand Challenge is going to be the same as any Grand Challenge. It has a long term schedule. We will release the data set as soon as we are able. We will release the tasks as soon as we're able. People can sign up. People can download all the data they need. They can work on it. They will submit their results. We will evaluate those submissions. We will tell them how well they did. They will submit their papers about.
Would be really good to have a paper also ready for it.
Yes, there will need to be a data set paper.
Oh, but how are we going to manage it before February, March?
Well, the data set paper will need to go out as a preprint, and the final version of the data set paper then goes out with.
Potentially in the data set track of asynchronous media.
Yes, because we are also planning to have a data set track newly created for 25. So it might go in there. It might go into the Grand Challenge track. Details to be determined. But the preprint will definitely need to go out together with the data set.
Okay, which describes.
And also the challenge description independently of that, so people know what to do.
So for the data set track, we're going to have to think really hard because you really made it a little bit. Data set track is, I think, tied with social good in whatever way. So we kind of really want to describe random stuff.
It has to be multimedia related data sets that are released for general purpose usage.
Yeah. So we have to be really careful
we have
because there are going to be
shares.
lots of data set papers in the
Yeah, but I mean independent of that. Independent of that is the hackathon, the current idea of the hackathon, and all the details are to be determined, is that given that we're anyway having this longer schedule of the almost 2 weeks of multimedia gatherings around HCM Multimedia, is that the weekend before, in parallel to Medieval, there will be 2 days of hackathon if we can pull this off. And then the idea would be that after these 2 days, there will be a hackathon results session at the main conference. So people have the chance to work on this. They get the data beforehand, because people have to release the data beforehand anyway. They can work on some things. We can probably have a call for project proposals or something. It's good, again, details to be determined. People can work on this for 2 days and then present their results. Ideally with the goal that any data augmentation that comes out of this is then also published as a companion data set to the main thing, to be used for any future activities. However,
So one thing that is also good to keep in mind, this is going to be very broad data set, like with lots of streams, just single camera recording can be data set by itself. So there may be kind of danger that many spin-offs are going to appear, like and then
yes, but
it
this
becomes really kind of hard to track.
No, but this is exactly why we also need to set this up in a way to say, okay, these are all the augmented. But I mean, there's a genealogy of data sets, right? Whenever somebody releases a big thing, then you usually find people who built on this and say, oh, I just have this curated subset that is also precisely annotated.
Right.
That doesn't introduce any new data, it just introduces new annotations, and it has some quality criteria and things like that.
Just I meant we have to make sure that it's properly credited, because this
Yes,
is
but I mean, this
like
is the usual. This is exactly. We will need to have all of this traceable. All of this is supposed to be archival, and have this.
is going to require people to reference the source.
Yeah. So all of this. So all of this builds and essentially just grows into a resource that is as useful as possible to as large a chunk of the community as we can. Right. Because it has video, it has audio, it has sensor streams, it has interaction, so it might even be useful for people outside of the core multimedia community.
You've seen Keynote in Iceland, like your colleague with the agents, teaching actually
Yes.
agents, and he was actually making a point that we don't do it right.
Yeah, so I mean, you can do human-machine interaction studies with this. You can even do communication studies with this, in case communication scientists find something useful in here, right? I have no idea. But this is essentially, yes, exactly, right? Emergent problem solving because nobody's a trained chef, right? So we figure out things in a new kitchen, things like that. Right? So there's interesting challenges in this. So again, we will try to make it as useful as we can. There's also some technical challenges that we will have to overcome because this thing is going to be big, right? So this is also something that we will talk about. I hope to be able to briefly talk about some statistics tomorrow after the collection of day one.
Right.
So we, after everything here is exhausted, whenever you're done recording, the thing will beep. It will tell you, I'm done, I'm full. You will not run out of battery, you will run out of storage capacity.
Right.
At some point in the day, hopefully reasonably late in the afternoon, you will run out of storage capacity. What you should do then is hand off the SD card to one of the helpers. They will start copying off the data and prepare this for the next day. Also, data copying is going to take a bit, right? Because we're talking about terabytes of data produced every day. And the SD card interface is not equipped for transferring terabytes of data, right? So it's going to take a while. So the sooner you can give it to them, the sooner they can start copying this off. and we can make sure that this is actually done. And ideally, we will have the data of the previous day available sometime in the first half of the next day, and on some portable disks.